All right, it is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 256. Okay, time for the daily update. So there are no updates on the anticipated appeal of the LTB ruling. You can now buy a couple new sponsored block types in the Shopify Store. I worked on packaging up the one pending order I got the other day, today. And I almost got around to doing more work on the next long form video. And other than that, and I also emerged in the existing changes to the terminal block mining game. So far, recently I've been working on an input area. So I think I've got most of the operations working. I think deleting a new line. That's what I'll implement tonight. And that thing, I think I tested it on the other machine, and I got a concurrency error, which I guess I may also encounter on this. There we go. That's that concurrency error. So I'll have to put a lock. That's this happens because or should it be happening? So I think it's happening because of the race condition between, so I'm modifying the list, but I'm also iterating over the list on the screen update. So the keyboard input comes in from a different message. Let me take a look. I think there actually were a couple places where I should have been sending a message and I wasn't. So that uses a message. one frame change. You know, that really shouldn't be a concurrent modification issue. What actually caused that? I'm actually a bit confused. Because the whole reason I have that architecture of like the work item queue is to avoid this issue. There must be some place let me look. I seem to recall there was like one place I remember where I was passing some information, and I was calling the other class directly instead of sending a message to it, or the other thread state. And if I do that, then that will cause this problem. Okay, got a bunch of new lines. Now I'll press F. That's not what I expect. I pressed F. Okay, that implies this render method is getting called at the same time as when I'm adding a character. in here. It's weird that I never saw that issue before. So that's getting called from the right place. James Goodrich sends $9. Welcome to the 9th Mint. Thank you very much. That is appropriate for day 256. I'm thinking a bit about what's causing that bug. I thought that must have meant I had two different threads that were operating on the list at once, but I think it might be something different. Maybe. Most people seem to get that when you have the iterator open, but what is the RES strategy for monetization for 2026? Any major changes coming? that's a good question. I think I'm going to focus on getting the next long form video out, and then I'll probably push toward the top of my priority list. Everyone's been asking me about my take on AI and AI programming and stuff, and that's becoming, I think, more of something I really should take a look at, if not just to do a video on, to up all the people suggesting that I should try NeoVim and stuff. I should actually, and then maybe I think I could do a lot to improve the streaming UI. Like, you can't even see the day right now. So this is just the to-do list of many items. It's amazing how much time you can waste just doing the menial. I got an order the other day for my 5 silicon dies set, and I went to put some together, and I realized I actually don't have any packaged dies of one of the 5, so I had to go dig out those some of those dies. I have 1,000 of them, and then packaged them up, and then I went to package them, and I realized I didn't have labels, so I had to print some labels, and then tried to print them a few times, and then it printed to the wrong side. But I've only sold a handful of those so far, so I just did the kind of minimum work necessary. Today I thought about maybe I could do a Kickstarter campaign again, just to see if that's if that's coming back at all, if there's any. I looked at the Kickstarter video games page to see if there's if things there seem to get much interest, but I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff on Kickstarter now, and I think the golden years of Kickstarter maybe in the past. Yeah, new monetization. It's a good question. Everything is changing in the world so much. We're going into recession and stuff. So whatever monetization I follow has to do well in a bad economy. All right. Just need to figure out this concurrent modification error. I thought that was due to a multi-threading thing, but I don't know now. Going to do some AI stuff. That's a big change. Going to do shorts, long form videos, or live AI content. I would like to do lots of content, but the content that I've been making is just it takes me so long to get anything done. I kind of thought I took a big. I guess I made a big, time investment on the last video. I figured to be around Christmas. I thought it might do very well to have. I kind of got it out a bit late, actually, to have a 2-hour long video around Christmas, where if people just want to sit and have something on in the background. Because last year when I posted the how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video, there was a commenter who. He also had a YouTube channel, and he did these really long 3-hour videos about various topics. So I thought, if I can just do a deep dive analysis on something for a couple hours, and specifically, like a lot of that stuff, I already invested most of the work to prepare it and curate that information. I thought it's just a unique story to tell. But unfortunately, that video did not performed 1% as well as the previous one. I probably should do more shorts content. There's every once in a while I do come up with a few just shorts ideas that I should probably get them out there just because they're so simple. People ask me a lot. In fact, I might take some of the people ask me questions a lot, like just the live stream questions, and just turn those into shorts content. In fact, it would probably be possible to just take times I've answered it in chat and then repackage those as shorts. But I have not. There might be AI tools, I think, now to do that, but the process of like digging through the last year of live stream VODs is just would be very time consuming. And then if I might spend like 1 hour trying to find one good shorts to sample from, and then I post it. But then that shorts video will make like probably $4 over the next year. That guy, the viral YouTuber, did live channel content to shorts with massive success. The viral YouTuber? You mean the oh man, I'm forgetting his name. The guy who worked at Blizzard? Pirate Software. He talked about a growth hack where he like unchecked the box to say show it to your subscribers or something, and that was what he credited his growth hack to. I think I tried that a couple times and it didn't really change things much. And then I also like it's not it's not 100% convincing that that's necessarily what actually made him go viral. Because I guess presumably now, if that actually works, then everyone would now be doing that and it wouldn't work anymore. Take my thumbs up before I go to bed? Sure. Thank you very much. We're now at 3 likes. Yeah, there's lots of potential things. There's the number of possibilities is overwhelming. Like I could do a podcast. I had been thinking there's a couple of people I know in the area who've done other like tech stuff. I wouldn't mind interviewing them. Turn that into just do 1 or 2 podcast episodes. But the time to arrange that has not come up in the priority list. Was it really converting live content shorts? The content of what was converted? Heartwarming stories of him and Blizzard. Yeah, there's probably lots of content in the shorts, but the time it takes to capture that, like the whole thing is, there's many things I could optimize in the time required to do them all. And there's all these different other social medias you can post on and stuff. I try to post on them sometimes, but there's no growth there. How a Newfoundlander would say it. Three likes there be. Bia. Boo van man Drentha says, yo, how's it going? Looks like Linux. What distro? This is just regular Ubuntu. Okay, let's figure out why I get this concurrent modification exception. There's no iterator in use here. Maybe it is actually a race condition. Very nice. Just going for it in Nano. This is Vim. Look forward to your AI-oriented content. Yeah, I probably won't. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure how much I will do on that. It is something I've wanted to try for a while. Every time I've tried it, though, every time I look into it in the past, the plugins for actually using AI coding, like it used to just be, when it first came out, it was impressive, but it was just like, copy paste into ChatGPT. But now I think the integration has actually caught up with how good the models are, so you can actually integrate it with your repo and stuff. And I think there are some functional plugins out there, but it's just a matter of I got to sign up for the API key, and I'm also some of them are also concerned, not kind of concerned about them because like some of these agentic AI things, you just tell them to do stuff, and it's like it's giving remote code execution on your machine. So I want to look into what they can do and some sandboxing and best, because I don't I'm sure the official ones probably aren't installing malware on your computer and stuff, but I don't even know the extent of what they can do. Like if they're stupid, can they just delete all my files and stuff? I wonder if this is I'm somehow putting it in an invalid state. But I'm not iterating over it. Nothing to do with threading a currency. I would assume it also could happen with concurrency, but it's in the string.join. I'm writing to you from Venezuela. They're lying to you about Agartha? Oh, really? What's the truth? Is this some sort of programming challenge, or are you building something here? I'm building a terminal-based video game where you can simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore in an infinite, procedurally generated universe. Some Stack Overflow to understand what one has done wrong. Yep, I'm old school. I still use Stack Overflow. I thought this would be easy, but this is actually messing with my mind now. So what I'll do, since I only have one instance of this, I'll just make a static variable. I'll save the current thread ID. And if it changes, if I notice it changed, then that's that's not supposed to happen. Been slowly learning how to code GD scripts, supposedly very similar to Python, for the Godot game engine to make games. End up using Stack Overflow a lot to help understand what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, I keep every time I hear about Stack Overflow, people point out that a lot that or have a few times that they just use ChatGPT now, and Stack Overflow is a thing of the past. I actually saw a graph recently of like number of Stack Overflow questions asked over time, and the graph was like, it was crazy. It was they had like a normal growth curve, and then when ChatGPT came out, it just like it started like falling off, and it's basically gonna hit zero pretty soon. Either synchronize all access to client block model context, make it a copy on write array list. If the game's read, queue additions and apply them atomically at the start of each render frame. So that's how it is supposed to work. So the way every different thread in the game has a work item queue, and when stuff needs to happen, I add it. So there's two operations going on here I think might be conflicting. One is the actually add the character that I type to the text area, so it'll add that to the array list in one message. And then there's another render operation, and those are supposed to happen. They're not supposed to happen concurrently. So what I think is maybe happening is there's a method somewhere that I'm calling, or I'm actually skipping the message process, and I'm just calling or I'm accidentally calling the member function of the other thread without adding a message first. But I'm not sure. Concurrency bug in text input area. On keyboard character. Directly mutates this.txt and cursor while console writer thread reads them every synchronization frame. That's what Maduro government is telling me. Wow, I'm flattered that they're so interested in console writer thread reads them every frame. Is that from an AI? Where does console writer thread read it? How do you know it's from AI? That's what everyone uses these days. Okay, let's do this. And now we have that. Okay, that compiles. So let me try. So those two methods should always be called from the same thread. And that thread is, it's literally just a loop over a queue. A loop over an event queue. So there should be no way that those two methods could be called at the same time, which should eliminate that possibility of concurrent modification. Interesting. Oh, that's really silly of me. Actually, I don't need that to be static. Okay, this will give me better feedback. Never asked that question on Stack Overflow. The problems I have are always something someone else has. As explained, probably shows how horribly inexperienced I am. Not necessarily. I don't think I've ever asked a Stack Overflow question. From what I understand, I guess people don't ask them as much anymore, but it's always been a very kind of hostile place. And also, there's also occasionally I don't know, it's weird. The people who spend all day on Stack Overflow and are constantly answering questions are a unique type of person. Always learned something new I wasn't looking for, which I find quite a boon of Stack Overflow. Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge there, and it sucks for them because they probably thought we're building this amazing database forever. We're gonna make so much money in the future, but then AI came along and just stole all their knowledge. Okay. I'm still getting the same error. So that tells me That tells me this is always being called with the same thread. Because these two blocks running this piece of code. If thread ID is null, otherwise, if it's not equal to the current thread ID, throw an exception. But that never happens. So I am iterating over the list. But I'm not using it like an iterator, and that technically should, like, this would even work if I was changing the size of the list in the loop. Very puzzling. .186 string.join. I wonder if I'm somehow like corrupting the list. Oh boy. I thought this would be like a two-minute fix. Well, if I could, this code is far beyond my level of understanding. Looks pretty cool. Thanks. Yeah, it could also just because it's kind of messy too, so that makes it harder understand. But one day, I'm sure you'll be super good at it. If you're spending time reading Stack Overflow, there's lots of wisdom on there. Yeah, this is the root cause of this is kind of weird. So when it says concurrent modification, that makes me think it's a threading issue. So normally I would expect to see a problem like this, like so here I'm iterating. So text is a list of lists. It's an array list of lists of strings. So just like a matrix. And I would expect to get an issue like that if, for example, if I was using an iterator here. If I used an iterator and then within this loop, if I changed the list, then I would expect to get that bug. But I'm not using an iterator. I'm just saying, like, I'm just looking at the size. So calling that size, this kind of iteration should work even if I change the size in the loop. And it's within string.join that is complaining. Now the other possibility is if I'm calling this with two different threads, so similar to what that other person said there. If console writer thread is calling is somehow this.text.getI wouldn't be a problem. That's right where the problem is. I don't think that should be a problem. I can't see why it would be a problem. Like if I had a bug somewhere else, that could be null, which would give a null pointer exception. But I wouldn't expect that to be a concurrent modification exception. Oh, actually, I just had a thought. Okay, so for NC escape sequences, I seem to remember there was somewhere in this see enter key. So far I've only been typing enter key in F. Okay, those are using work item 2. This will probably change nothing, but let's try it. Concurrent modification. 187. So it's still on the string.join. Very confusing. So I think this check here is correct. This is just the thing to make me confident that I am only ever calling either of these functions with the same thread. I think that makes sense. Let's do this. If that doesn't throw an exception, string join uses it iterate to iterate the list. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that's good, because that means it's actually checking that. Yeah, it would make sense that string.join would use an iterator to iterate over the list, but it's complaining about concurrent modification. So it's saying that at the time of string.join, something else is modifying it. But the line list I wonder, could it even be like one of those other, there's some other rogue thing getting called here and modifying it. Deep copy of the list. Some list made by one of our sends to work item. So what comes in is the character. So it's just a single character. Character gets checked, and then this dot text gets modified here. So when I press Enter key, it chops up the list. So I'd assume that maybe these things would use iterators, but maybe one of these, like maybe sublist, is holding it holds it open somehow. If that's the case, then that breaks my understanding of how this thing works. Let me just run that, see if there was some other rogue thread. If there's a second thread calling sending an ANSI escape sequence or something that could explain it. Nope. I wonder if some like crazy a bug within. I don't usually write code to chop up lists like this. Result of sublist is backed by original list. Yeah, I guess maybe something like that. If a sublist is just like a shallow reference to the string. And so it's opening two iterators, but then I would expect that to kind of like, I don't know. I'll check the documentation. Let me just add this, see what that does. I guess that probably doesn't exist. Oh, list. That's what I want. Oh, returns a view. A view. That sounds like a shallow reference of a portion of the list. The returned list. Okay, so it actually kind of sounds like it's just an iterator. Okay, let's see if that does the trick. How are you going to accomplish world domination? That's a good question. I made a dedicated video to discuss my plans. Check the link in the description. All right. Now the moment of truth. Look at that. That was the problem. Wow, okay. I guess I learned something. I guess I've never used that function before. So the sublist, I guess you could say it almost like returns like an iterator. See, how would that work? Honestly, I still kind of don't really understand. I'm not really clear, but I guess I just learned something about Java that I did not otherwise know. All right, that was kind of a crazy bug that I haven't found a bug that difficult in a while. Yes, I fixed it. I believe I fixed it. Let's test it again. So I believe the issue comes down to this sublist function. So I'm using this to basically to basically chop up the line. And honestly, the documentation could be more clear about this. But it says it returns a view. A view. I think that's a key word here. It's not clear, but it sounds like it's basically they're saying. It almost sounds like they're implying that it's like something like an iterator. Like it does make sense that it would be that. But I guess for whatever reason, it seems like when you do a sublist, that's like somewhere along that process you're opening an iterator. And then later when I do the string.join on it, it's saying, oh, that's it's already open. Didn't know you could get views until it's either. Since lists don't have to be implemented any particular way. I guess it makes sense for this to be like not a deep copy. I guess I don't know. I'm not sure what the definition of a view is in Java. All right, it's an actual text editor now. There's still a few bugs in it. That's a different one. I just need to make so when I go down, has to add it to the end of the line. But Interesting. Good to know you managed to solve the issue. What is the feature you're adding? The feature is the general feature is I'm adding like a general purpose text input area. So the long arc of what I'm doing is I'm working toward adding multiplayer to the game. And one of the first things I need is an actual a dialogue. So to open up multiplayer, you have to open up a connection to the world. So it'll go escape, open world connection or something, and then I need an actual thing where you can type in the connection information. And right now there's no in this game. I don't have any mechanism to actually type to do input. But that's just what I'm doing here. And I figured I might as well go all the way and make like a general purpose text area. So it's I'm kind of like reinventing the wheel here, but the game is from scratch, and there really isn't that many libraries for like terminal-based applications that work with like wide characters and Unicode and stuff. Which is what this one. So I can even in here I can. So it even works with Unicode. Yeah, so that's the current feature. And so the first thing I want to use this text area feature for is just for connection information to sort of like right now, this here world that I'm moving around, it's stored in a SQLite database. That's just at a particular, it's just in a file. I want to be able to see, like I could do like open world connection, and then I can open like a second connection to a different world, which would be in a different file or a different database, or it could be in a different remote server. And that'll be the first use case for this. And then eventually, I also have a need to just be able to type in commands. So because I can, for debugging, it would be really nice if I could type in like teleport or something, like teleport to a specific location on the map, and then just have it go there. I think it means view in generic CS sense, as in views in a database. Yeah, that's what I thought. Actually, I think that's one of the only places I've heard of the concept of views used, which I guess kind of, it implies it's like an iterator or something, but to be honest, I still think there's there's probably even maybe some more. There's probably other people that have gotten that issue. You're allowed to mutate elements within it, but not change the structure of the list. Okay, so that makes sense, because I'm typing enter multiple times. Huh. Yeah, so that's interesting. So it's like it basically returns. So sublist basically like returns a list, but the implementation doesn't support mutating the elements. But I guess what I'm doing is I do sublist on something, and then I do sublist on the result of that, and I do it a few times, and later I try to join that. So it makes sense why this is happening, but it's not that's a very yeah, so surprised me. I expanded my knowledge of Java. Chilling after work, says Edward. How's it going? If you append to array list, it might require reallocation. Yeah, it makes sense why. It makes sense why, but I guess for the interface, like the fact that I can, whenever I press enter, I'm doing a sublist. I'm creating two sublists. And then it's only later when I go to add something to one of those lists that I get the error. But I guess the solution is just to do a new array list and pass in the result of sublist. Anyway, I guess that was I didn't accomplish too much tonight, but I made one small incremental improvement. So I guess there is still. So when I press up, this will probably crash. Nope. What about now? What about now? Oh. Okay. Anyway, I think there's still some range checks and things. Oh yeah, it's not scrolling down. Anyway, that'll be for the next streams. So that'll be it for tonight. Tomorrow we'll be back for day 256. All right, have a good night, guys.